Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome back to Learn Turkish the Easy Way channel. This is our next live session on the random topics in Turkish language, and today's topic is going to be about the connection rule of pronunciation in Turkish language. Now, you can call this rule in different ways. But it's basically, it can be even called liaison rule, okay, connection rule, liaison rule, kind of any rule that is all about connecting words to each other. Okay, it is a linguistic rule. It's a rule of pronunciation, and this rule is not necessarily some kind of a formal rule. Okay, it's not necessarily some kind of a formal rule where you follow specific grammar structure. It's all about something which is a much more a natural process rather than an imposition of specific rule. So let's go and see what the rule is all about. It will be probably a short lesson because there is not necessarily very much to cover here. So let's go to our workpad. So what is the connection rule? Connection rule, let me bring it up for you. Connection rule says what? When a word ending with a consonant is followed by a word starting with a vowel, the first word is pronounced as connected to the second word. Okay, so basically, if a word ends in a consonant and the next word starts with a vowel, we pronounce them as if they are one single word. Okay, as if they are connected, as if they are combined, and there's a tendency to pronounce this, to pronounce them, both of them together. Okay. Now again, in writing there is no such thing. Okay, in writing they are always written separately, and there is no such thing in writing. But in pronunciation, that becomes a bit a faster process. It's a bit faster process where you pronounce both of them together. Okay. Now, does it mean that you cannot separate them? Of course, no. There are specific conditions, for example, when you can separate them and pronounce them specifically, deliberately, in a separate way. Okay. When will that be the case? When you, for example, want to stress something, to emphasize every single word in a sentence slowly and separately, right? For example, if you are very angry, you can say Benim adım Ali, right? So you don't necessarily say Benim adım Ali. You can, for the emphasis purposes, you can stress them separately, you can pronounce them separately, and that's okay. But when you speak in daily language, when you speak fast, most of the times you follow this connection rule, which means we tend, okay, as a nature of the of our physical kind of demand, the tongue itself, okay, our pronunciation skills somehow excuse me, somehow force us, or we tend to pronounce them together without separation. Okay, and that's one of the things that confuses Turkish people, the learners of Turkish language. When I, even in the lessons, the sentence construction sentences that I have, that you probably already follow, some people ask me, why do you combine them? Why don't you separate them, right? Why don't you pronounce them separately? That's the reason. To be as natural as possible, I pronounce all the sentences in those exercises in the natural. I try at least my best. I do my best to pronounce them in a natural way. Okay, so if you don't learn them in the natural way, following this connection rule, that will be something very artificial. Okay, it's very artificial to pronounce them separately and emphasizing them separately. Therefore, in most of the sentences that you hear from me, excuse me, I have this cough, unending cough. So in most of the sentences that you hear from me, you will hear this rule, connection rule, practiced. Okay, so it's not necessarily because I want to make it confusing for you. It's not because people want to make it difficult for you to separate them from each other, but it's just the nature of this language, Turkish language, and that's, by the way, not only in Turkish. I I observed that even in English you have this, but I cannot think of the examples right now. We pronounce words faster. Okay, it's much easier to pronounce, to connect them together. Like for example, I want to go home, right? You don't necessarily say I want to go home separately, but if kind of separately and distinctly. We say, for example, I want to go home, right? That's one of the reasons. It's the ease of pronunciation. So let's look at the examples, a couple of examples to understand what we mean. This is the connection rule above, right? So what does it say? If the word ends in a consonant and the next word starts in a vowel, then we tend to combine them, to pronounce them together. Look at the examples here. The first example, dün akşam neredeydin, right? Dün akşam neredeydin. Where is the, here you see the first word ends in consonant, and the next one starts with the vowel here, right? This part, you see, this part, N and A, letter ne and A. The first one is the consonant, the second one is the vowel. Here we tend to combine them when we pronounce, okay? Therefore, the pronunciation will be not dün akşam neredeydin, but dün akşam neredeydin, right? As if dün akşam is the single word, dün akşam. Dün akşam neredeydin. Okay? Just look at the second example. In the second example, we have two of this rule. The one is here, right? Me and A, and the second one is at the end of the adım and beginning of Ali. So we have two connections here. Therefore, actually, you can pronounce, excuse me, you can pronounce these three words as if it's a single word. Okay, benim adım Ali. So you see, you don't necessarily have to say benim adım Ali. Distinctly, you can combine all of them because consonant is followed by the vowel. And in the second case, again, consonant is followed by a vowel. Okay, so basically you can pronounce it as a single word. These three words can be pronounced as a single word. Benim adım Ali. Okay, benim adım Ali. The third example here, what do we have here? We have bugün erken acıktım, right? You see, where is the consonant? This is the consonant, and the next here is letter A, vowel, right? So these two letters will be connected in pronunciation. You can pronounce it faster and connectedly, okay? And we also have the same thing here, right? Where we have ne and a. So we have two connections here. Bugün erken acıktım, right? Bugün erken acıktım. And when you pronounce fast, it will be bugün erken acıktım, okay? Bugün erken acıktım. Try to kind of practice it for yourself. You will see it's much easier to combine them, okay? Because when you have vowel consonant, vowel consonant, vowel consonant rule, it is much easier, right? Rather than facing, for example, two vowels or two consonants side by side. Vowel consonant, vowel consonant, or consonant to vowel, usually it's much easier to pronounce. Therefore, here it's the same thing. Look at the fourth example, kim o. Right? Normally it is two separate words. Who is that, right? Kim o. But we don't say it kim o, we say kim o, right? Kim o, as if they are together because we have consonant at the end of the first word and the vowel at the beginning of the second word, which is actually a single letter. So we say kim o. For example, if somebody knocks on the door, you don't say o kim. O kim is it's a question where you wonder who is somebody, right? You point to somebody, you say kim o. Who is that person, for example? But usually you use kim o as the question when somebody knocks on the door. You would say kim o or kim o, right? Kim o. That will be the faster way and easier way. And the fifth example, babam akademisyen. Okay, you see at the end of this first word you have consonant me, and we have vowel a at the beginning of the second word. So here we have connection. Babam akademisyen. Okay, normally they are separate, right? Babam akademisyen. But together, when you pronounce it faster, you will say babam akademisyen. Okay. Sometimes even when I try to kind of to show it to you or to pronounce it just for the exemplification purposes, it's even sounds hard, but it should be really natural, okay? When I even want to show you it, to pronounce it and show it to you, it may sound artificial, but in daily language, right, if I don't pay attention to this, if I pronounce the way the words in a natural way, you will always have this rule, okay? That is a very natural tendency for us to combine the words that end in consonant and start with a vowel. Now, is it valid for the words where the word ends in a vowel and starts in a consonant? No, that the rule doesn't say that, okay? Even if it may be in practice so, the rule doesn't say so. The rule is only valid for the words where the first word ends in a consonant, okay? And the second one starts with a vowel. That is how the rule is basically structured or formed. Okay, so that's it for today's class. It was a very short topic, but I wanted to clarify one of the things that people are asking me, continuously asking me, why I am pronouncing it very fast, why I don't pronounce specific words separately in pronunciation, especially when I pronounce it in exercises, right, in kind of my videos. People really wonder why. And that's the answer, okay? The answer is the connection rule. And I really want to pronounce everything in a natural way, okay, for you, so that you learn the pronunciations in a natural way. That is the reason, that is the only reason. Other than that, there is not much to this. Alright, thank you for joining this lesson. I see there are no questions, I see there is nothing unclear, it seems, and there are not many participants today. It is Friday, by the way, right? Friday, thanks God it's Friday. So enjoy the Friday evening and enjoy the rest of the week, the weekend. Wish you a nice weekend. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.